Good morning. Welcome to the Housing Sector Podcast. It is a morning today. It's a very dark and wet morning. And the reason that I'm recording this one so early today is another first for the Housing Sector Podcast. I am talking with Melissa from Australia. Melissa, good morning to you, or good evening.
It's late afternoon here, about 4 p.m. Good afternoon.
How are you? All right.
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
All right, not too bad at all. Now, Melissa, we've connected on LinkedIn because you have founded a sort of support and advocacy network in Australia, supporting people with housing. Is this correct?
Yes, that's right. I founded the Greater Western Sydney Advocacy Network, and that was because I've noticed that there's not really a lot of representation out in Greater Western Sydney where I'm from. So I thought, if there's not something already there, I'll create it myself. You've got to make your own door sometimes. So our advocacy at GWSAN is grounded in 5 strategic pillars, which is policy reform, lived experience leadership, career mentoring and youth pathways, community advocacy training, and global collaboration.
Okay, so you say that that you saw a gap and you thought you jump in and fill that, which is great. But what was the real catalyst? When did you start to notice this gap?
So after I started looking more into housing advocacy due to the housing crisis, I reached out to other groups that were doing, what seemed to me that would be similar thing as what I was thinking. And I noticed that most of them, they're based out in the eastern suburbs, North Shore and Inner West. And when I tried to sort of collaborate with them, they had little knowledge or capacity to actually do the outreach out where I'm from. So that's pretty much the main reason.
And if we can sort of focus it on housing, because it's the housing sector, what is the state of housing in Australia, particularly in sort of Sydney area?
So the housing sector in Sydney is it's not great. There's very high rates of homelessness here. Also, what's interesting is the type of developments that are getting built. They're either high density, so tall residential towers, or just single dwellings, like single story dwellings. So there's actually a big gap between that, which is the missing middle, and it doesn't create that very walkable suburbs or anything like that. And it's actually affecting other parts of the system, like health and mental health and education and things like that for the people that live out here.
And are you having the same problem in Australia that housing, affordable housing, is becoming unaffordable?
So yes, definitely. It's definitely a global pattern. In both UK and Australia, public housing's been sold off or underfunded. Outer suburbs are absorbing the majority of growth without the matching investment. Apartments are going up, but trust is going down, with quality issues, fire safety risks, and building defects leaving people in unsafe and unsellable homes. And the planning systems are often reactive and politicized, not strategic and community-led. So the result is the same. Communities are left behind, and that's for both UK and Australia.
It's scary. Last week's podcast, which is the one that's gone out this morning, as we were talking, I was speaking to 3 guys from Wales, and it's the same issue, and exactly the same, and it echoes around. And now we're in New South Wales. With the Grenfell's had quite an impact here, and it's sort of really kick-started, I suppose, the cladding issue. Did the ripples of Grenfell, have they been felt over in Australia?
They have been felt here. I feel like to a lesser extent. However, I'm not in the strata space as such, so I can't really comment too much about that. From my personal experience, it's actually other type of defects that are losing trust in the apartment and strata developments. So what's been happening with those is that some developers, they build an apartment block, and then after a few years, the owners corporation, they get a report done about the defects in the building, so that you can so that they can get the builder to rectify them within the specific time frame. And what's happening is that they're actually the developers closing the construction arm of their business and what they call phoenixing, and then they're leaving the owners to foot the bill for any of the building defects. And sometimes it could be in the hundreds of thousands per owner. And out west, we just don't have that kind of money lying around. And, you can't sell it because it's got this liability of these defects. So it's, you'd be stuck between a rock and a hard place. And unfortunately, there aren't really much government supports if you're in that kind of situation.
It's scarily the same. It's very similar. We've got
It
exactly
is
the same
scary.
issue here. Yeah. Do you?
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. One of the guys that came on, we've had a few of them. I call them my reluctant heroes because they, like myself, had no desire to start advocating for proper housing, and yet here we find ourselves. Look, because this is now, we can call it a global issue. Is it a global fraud?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't actually looked into it that deeply on, yeah, global fraud. Oh, I'd
It
like
seems
to say it isn't, but in all reality, maybe it is.
it seems to be the same rigged game wherever we go.
Well, I know that a lot of it. I know that this cannot just be something that's occurring by some miracle or something. These companies are out there doing it, I'm sure, deliberately. Some of the cases I've seen, it's very blatant. Like one of them was the fire safety, like within the walls of the building, like so. And it's with fire safety, you can't say that you've gotten that wrong. And the problem is that it appears as though all of the different players within that construction development space seem to be almost working in cahoots. I hate to say it, and I don't have proof of it as such, but it just seems as though it is. Like, who's certifying these buildings for occupation without adequate fire safety and other building defects that, they shouldn't have been marked as be able to be occupied, in my opinion.
No, I absolutely agree. And we've got the same issue here, and then we get watered down legislation, which seems to be. But
Mm.
that's over here. That's supported by the fact that Labour, England, and Labour have promised. But we need new homes, and that's on the back of a sort of election promise, which is unachievable. But they now have to find themselves in bed with the very people that, in theory, they need to be going after and prosecuting for providing unsafe homes.
Well, it's just difficult because, like, there's not really proof that these things were done deliberately, and there's like, it's not just one company, it's all different companies, and technically they're all working within the law, so they're not, as far as I know, they're not actually breaking the law at what they're doing. But I think we need to look at how we can change the laws so that they can no longer do things like that. But that's just coming from my layman voice. I don't know how difficult or easy that would be to do in practice. So, but it's definitely needed. Um, especially if you're relying on apartments to provide the supply that the whole world needs. Yeah, it's a tough one.
You see, now I understand over here where we have limited space, high-rise and apartments. You can see that there's a genuine need, and that's a sort of response to a problem that we have, a lack of land. But Australia has vast swathes of land. Why aren't we sort of building out or why aren't you guys building out more into the suburbs with sort of low rise?
They are. That's what they're doing. That's
Right.
what they're giving the people what they want, but the people don't necessarily want where the location is, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's what the people need. What the people need is more walkable and more connected places. We're very car centric, particularly out in Greater Western Sydney, and we have to be, because that's how everything's set up. We can never even get a car spot at our local shops anymore, because there's just everyone has to have a car. Like, I know people on my street, each household has 4 or 5 cars per house. Like, that's crazy. But we have to, because if we don't, we have to wait more than 30 minutes for a bus to go anywhere if we're lucky. And then even then it'd be like, it could be upwards of an hour bus trip to get wherever we need to go. It just doesn't work. You can keep building out, but eventually you will run out of land, and it's just making people sicker. We've got the highest rates of diabetes and cardiovascular disease out in Western Sydney, and the poor health system's trying to tackle that. And we're not treating it as housing being the system. We're treating everything as ancillary to housing. That's not the case. Everything feeds into housing. Housing is the basis for everything. That's what I believe anyway.
I believe it too. It's the community. It's the cornerstone. It's if you've got a home, you can start, you can educate, you can have better health, and all of the stress when
Right.
you don't it is impacting. When things go wrong here, supposedly we have the housing ombudsman and we can make a complaint. And the housing ombudsman are under a lot of pressure. It takes can take a year to 18 months to get a response. But we do have that, and then we've got the regulatory social housing. So there are bodies there sort of aimed to protect us. Do you have anything like that in Australia?
Well, we've got fair trading, and we've also got the building commissioner for New South Wales, and they're all trying their best, but there's only so much they can do, I suppose, and I feel like everything's just siloed and fragmented. Even the different departments that deal with things, it's very difficult to get a good outcome, because I don't feel that every department are kind of working with each other. And without people on the ground with life experience, I mean, often a lot of these people that are working within the industry, they've never even stepped foot in Western Sydney. Or if they have, it's been for like a ribbon cutting ceremony or something like that. I mean, there's been, I'm not going to mention the exact event, but there was a very massive event that happened in Western Sydney, and the local council, who have worked on it tirelessly for years, were not even mentioned in a thanks or anything like that. It just goes to show that we're just unseen. We're just totally unseen out here.
I have a theory, and I'm not asking you to put your head on the chopping block to agree with me. I have a theory that there are lots of people, sounds like these guys over there, that make a lot of money whilst it fails. And if we had a magic switch, or if you could fix it all tomorrow, they'd all be out of a job.
Well, that's what they say about cancer, don't they?
They do say that about
So,
cancer. Yeah.
I mean, could it be something similar? I don't know. I mean, when you look at the disparity between the billionaires and the average person, it's just the gap's getting wider. Why is that? You know,
Yeah.
why is that? When these simple thing, basic essential thing that we so-called can't get right, why can't we get that right? People like me, like, I'm not a genius. None of my colleagues in in our advocacy network are geniuses, I don't think. And yet we've come up with numerous different, ideas and things like that. And they don't seem too difficult to implement. Why is that happening? I don't know. I mean, I've spoken to other people that run not-for-profits in the area as well, in different fields, to be fair, but nevertheless, and they've said they get so much pushback when they try and make any suggestions on any changes to anything that anyone's doing. It just, to me, it seems like crazy. How could that be happening? It just doesn't, it's not logical, is it?
It's not. It's how my journey started out. All I was doing was reporting issues to my own landlord, and I thought, well, they'd be receptive to finding out, the shortfallings in their business, so they can shore it up and become better. But it quickly became apparent to me that they knew where they were failing, didn't want to do anything about it, or can't do anything about it. So it then became that they had to just keep spinning the game and keeping me silent, which is why I'm here to this day, and 10 years on.
Have you got any traction with that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got a resident support site for my landlord, and I've got this platform which is growing here. And yeah, and I'm making loads of great connections, yourself included, and
That's
learning
great.
more and more. I mean, I've been on a great journey of growth, and people are starting to listen now. We've got, I think people are a bit more cautious, whereas before I was just a sort of noisy boy shouting about things. Now, well, no, I'm quite constructive. I'm giving you solutions as well, but nobody seems to be listening. But now I'm finding that I'm bringing a lot of advocates together. So I'm finding more and more people out there who have unsafe homes, unaffordable homes, are being ignored, and we're all at that same level where we're being silenced. Which is why I thought, okay, well, let's build a platform so we can raise the voices. Because I started by trying to fix things for people, trying to get, here's an email you can send. Have you tried speaking to this person? And we're all sort of shouting at the wind. But now I think the housing sector is becoming a platform where people can speak out and where we can raise the issues and we can share best practice. I mean, by talking to you today, we're seeing the similarities there. You're early on in your journey, because how long has it been since you set up your network?
Oh, very early on. It's only been a couple of months, actually. I mean, of course, it's been in my mind for quite some time, but yeah, it's gaining a lot of momentum very quickly. So it's exciting. We have some really important people that have expressed that they want to be part of it. So that's exciting. Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant, and it's great. And these grassroots campaigns that start are growing, and they're going to grow with you. And you're doing a fabulous job here. But as we're coming to the end of this is a sort of it's turning into my sort of end question almost. You're a mum. What sort of impact has this had on your life, your personal life? First of all, the housing situation, and then starting your own network.
So I actually was a teen mum. In what I found is the one of the highest teen pregnancy rates area in Australia, which was profound when I heard that, and scary because it's been 24 years and it's still one of the highest. So it goes to show nothing's really been done about it since then. Um, I have experienced, firsthand what it can be like. Back 24 years ago, I was told that it'll be approximately 20 years to get a social housing property. I actually said to myself, I'm not going to bother even putting my name down because I'll already own at least one property by then. And, luckily I used that to spur me on and, work in the property industry and actually able to purchase something for myself. But not everybody are in that situation. A lot of people, they need that extra help. And, I think that it really did impress a lot on me on, how important that securing yourself a home is, and that from, my perspective, I can actually use my, my experience to help others when there wasn't that help for myself.
Good for you, Melissa. You're another one of our reluctant heroes. It's always great to talk to people who are, not putting themselves first, they're putting others first, and working to support people, which is very noble. And I'm sure it's our way into heaven.
I would settle for something just a bit nicer on earth, really, around me. I'd settle for a walkable suburb. I love Western Sydney, and I could have moved away to somewhere more privileged, but I decided to stay here because I want my kids to have the same sort of, raising as me, and that bit more relaxed atmosphere out here and all that sort of thing. But it would be great if there was those just few little extra things that can help them, better education, better walkability, public transport and things like that. I know they're going to need that as they're growing up. My oldest actually moved to the city of Sydney. So I mean, what else could he do? It's not like it was 20 years ago to buy a place or anything like that, or even keep a job. You often have to travel out to the city. So yeah, he didn't want to keep doing that. So he's moved there. Yeah, it'd be nice if he could move back one day. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Everything you're talking about here, as my wife likes to say, we're not asking for the moon on a stick. We're asking for a decent place to live, somewhere to educate our children, a national health service that we can fund and that works. We're not
Right.
asking for great strides, are we?
The thing is, a lot of these things that I'm talking about, or that, if I was to go into more detail about specifics, they would actually save the government money.
Mm.
I've actually done calculations where it would save millions of dollars implementing teen pregnancy prevention programs. I don't understand why they've not done. I'm sure someone would have come up with this before. That's what I'm wanting to find out. I will be doing more research on that and finding out why, not just that they're not being done or whether they are being done, but why aren't they being done, or why are they not effective? That's my next step. So,
And I hope I'm proven wrong, and I hope it's not a case that there are too many people making money from it failing to want to fix it. Let's hope
oh
I'm wrong.
yeah,
Yeah.
me too. It sounds horrible, but it is a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out.
Well, look, you're doing some great work, and it's been lovely talking to you today. Thank you very much indeed, and keep us updated. Let's keep that connection going.
Of course. Thanks, Ben. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn all the time.
Yeah,
Melissa Vassiliou.
perfect. I'll put your LinkedIn name on the screen here. Okay, Melissa, that's been lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Ben. Have a great day. Bye.